Hey there everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this week's video I'm going to share with you my 3 top tips into intuitive drawing and how they can be used as a way to help boost your creative confidence. So if it is that you don't know what intuitive drawing is, it's basically drawing from your intuition, how you feel, how you move in relation to the marks, all has an impact on what it is that you create. So the first exercise to loosen up is to use a stick and ink, and to be fair, you get some really nice marks with this because you're not actually thinking about what it is you're drawing, you're just kind of seeing what actual marks you can create using the tools that you have. I also find that with this exercise it really kind of calms me because it's so kind of soothing. It's very repetitive, which is probably another reason why I always feel really sort of calm whilst doing this. So with this particular exercise, you might even want to have some music going on in the background. So depending on the tempo of the music, you might want to create a squiggle which is like really fast, but then you might want to listen to some music that's really slow, and then all this just happens to kind of affect all the marks that you create. And so my next tip is going to be using the opposite hand that you write with. Now, this is one thing that I, at the very beginning at university, I wasn't much for, but then it was only until I started doing this over and over that I actually found that I was getting some really interesting marks. So you might have been told as a kid not to kind of go out the lines when colouring in, but for me, that is one thing that I always challenge, because I feel that if I am creating something that's trying to be perfect and it's kind of forced, then that's not me. Whereas when things go against the convention of drawing or whatever, and you kind of go against that line, that's when things start becoming more exciting, possibly turn into something really exciting. And then the last tip I'm going to share with you today is not looking at the page whilst drawing. Now it might feel a bit uncomfortable, a bit weird whilst doing this for the first time, but I'm sure the more and more you try a technique such as this out, you'll feel more and more relaxed, and you'll gain creative confidence because you're not feeling that you're having to perfect all the drawings that you make. So funnily enough, back at school, I always found intuitive drawing much more, I suppose, of an interest to me, because I felt by having to draw observationally from something, I found it so much more harder, whereas it was when I was intuitively drawing, which I suppose the education system didn't like because it was going against what was known as stereotypical drawing, etc. And for me, it was so much more fun because I could connect more with my feelings and express visually how I was feeling. So for this exercise, you might want to use a different colour and maybe go back to the idea of blocking in some areas, but then wanting to make some more continuous lines in other. So now I'm not looking at the page, so I'll start off with the continuous line without looking at the page. And then in another area where I feel I'll just go there, not looking yet again, and try to block in some areas. And what you'll find is what you think you are drawing or what you think you are putting down on the page is not necessarily what you are doing, which makes it more exciting. And once you start to experiment with all these different sort of continuous lines, drawing without looking at the page, and using that opposite hand, what you'll find is that you start to build up a series of marks, which then, for me, I always find that they look a bit like landscapes. And other people might see something completely different. I also can see a lot of waves. And then as I start to build up all these different lines, they remind me of sculptural forms, which could then be taken into more three-dimensional materials such as plastic, clay. And so as we come towards the end of this week's video, my question to you today is, are there any techniques within this video that you find help boost your creative confidence? And if so, please be sure to pop that down in the comments below. And if it is that you feel that you'd like any more hints, tips and tutorials in relation to creative confidence, please be sure to join us on Facebook in the Creative Confidence community. Hope to see you there. Take care. See you later, everyone.